Good morning, folks. How you doing today? Today is May 11th, 2022. I'm Phil McPhail with United Country Lifestyle Properties in Maine, and I'm really excited to bring you to Benedicta and T2R6 wells today up in southern Aroostook and near Penobscot and Aroostook County line. Beautiful piece of property. We filmed this in the winter back in February. And I got to be honest with you, it was a 0-degree day. The wind was blowing, it was cloudy, and the snow was coming down. And I guess we didn't do our normal video quality. So we're back here in May. Property's still available, and I think only because you haven't seen all of the features that this has. I'm standing in the middle of about a 3-acre plot here, a field in the middle of the lot. And what you're seeing around me, they're not in bloom yet, are apple trees. This is a 221-acre site with paved road front, power, interior roads, ponds, brook, apples, great soils, some growing timber. Let's go look at this. You're going to be impressed, and I think you ought to come take a look at it ASAP. Like I said earlier, one of the key features of this property is the apple trees, and they are literally, they're kind of scattered all over the property. I believe this was all farmland at one time, or at least a good portion of it. We still have a little bit of field left. These apple trees are just, in this field here, there's at least 2 dozen of them, and they're not too bad a shape. They could use some pruning, but the deer obviously like it here because there's trails just beaten into the earth. So this little plot, you'll see it on the map where this is located. It's back in towards the center of the land. I don't think I'd put a cabin here, only because I'd want to hunt over this orchard. There's a number of nice spots we'll look at for cabins or a house or whatever you want. And then, of course, out on the main road, there's plenty of room for a year-round home. We're back here in the forest near the center of the land. This property has been timber harvested within the last 3 to 5 years. And you can see some of the thinnings they've done. They've left a lot of spruce, fir, hardwood. There's a nice mix of wood on this land. And in that short amount of time, you can see these poplar are coming up. And I was out here quite early this morning before we actually started filming, and I caught a couple of deer in here. 2 deer walking in the woods right there. There's a lot of young poplar coming up here. I snuck right up on these ones. You can barely see them off the end of that log moving. There she goes. 2 of them anyway. They're in here eating this new growth. So nice piece of land. The soils are really good. Trees are growing well. Let's go look around some more. I'm standing out on the interior road now, and we're not quite in the center of the property. We're still in Benedicta. And this road leaves the Benedicta road, comes westerly through the property, and then it eventually turns northerly, and it's in various types of material here. We've got some really good shale that they've broken up and put down, makes a great road bed. You'll see some of this. It's ditched out really well. There's a couple of spots that just need a little more gravel put in, but most of the year you're going to be able to drive over a mile into this property over this access road. Very nice feature to have to get you into the land, do any maintenance you want to do, or maybe build that off-grid secret cabin back in the woods. One of the features of this property, some may see it as a negative. I see it as a huge positive because I like to hunt deer and I like to have like choke points and things like that. The western boundary of this property is I-95. So it's pretty near impossible for anybody to access the land from the west, coming from the west, because the 95 kind of is a privacy screen there for this land. The deer are going to probably stay on this side. They don't like to really cross it that often. So that's there. That gives you a lot of privacy. We've got fields close by that belong to the neighbors. That's also bringing in the deer. Of course, we talked about the apple orchard in here. So all those things add up to make this one really great hunting property for white-tailed deer, for black bear, and there is a pretty good population of moose here. So whether you like to hunt them or just watch them, this is a great lot for that. This is the knoll that kind of parallels the interstate, and a thinning harvest was done here a few years ago. What's left is a pretty nice spaced out stand of hardwoods. A little tiny bit of softwood mixed in with it, but it's mostly hardwood. And we're just off the access road that you'll see on the map near the very end of it. This is Regan Brook, and it's a very small little creek, kind of forms out of springs here on the land and runs kind of southerly across the property. It's not a navigable stream. It's going to be used for wildlife. We've seen woodcock in here near the stream this morning, grouse. So it's a nice water feature. Probably is going to dry up in the summer, although it does have a pretty apparent creek bed. So, you know, it probably runs a good portion of the year. This is the private pond that's located on the property here in Benedicta. It's quite deep. I can't see the bottom of it. It's a little cloudy from the snow melt, but man, this could be cleaned up, dug up a little bit, be a nice spot, put a little cabin here, and this is probably where I would build on this property for an off-grid hunting cabin. But this pond itself has been bermed up. It's quite deep. I'm sure it will hold some trout. If you wanted to get a permit to stock this, I think it would do really well. So this is a really cool water feature. You're probably having a hard time gauging how big this is. I'd say it's about a quarter acre, maybe a little less than that. But it's a cool little water feature. Looks like it was built well, and would, like I said, make a great spot to build. Folks, the soils on this property they vary quite a bit from one side to the other. There's quite a bit here that's excellent for farm soil. There's some that's not so much so because it's a little rocky, and in some places it's going to be a little wet down near the brook. But overall, it's going to grow trees like crazy, and the wildlife are going to love it. So you can check out the soil map we've got up here. If you need more details, ask for us to send you a property information packet. Folks, this is a really interesting topography that this property has. Starting out on Benedicta Road, we have about 580 feet of elevation out there. The property does drop down towards the pond along the road. I'm actually coming back out of the land now on the road. And then it levels off for a while, comes back up on another hardwood knoll, and then it pitches away to the interstate. So you won't get bored walking this piece of property. It's not flat land, but it's not really steep, with the exception of right off the road. When you first come in, about 500 feet, it does drop quickly, levels off. Check out the topo map. That'll give you a whole lot more info. If you're watching this video, folks, if you want a little more information or kind of get a better feel for where we've been on this land and what it looks like in different locations, we have geo-referenced 360-degree photos in about 13 or 14 different locations. So you can click on the map that's linked below, look for the icons for the panoramic views, click on them, and those were shot within 20, 30 feet of the actual location on the face of the earth. The town of Benedicta was incorporated in 1873, and a little over 100 years later, in 1987, it became unorganized. The township is mostly rolling farms and timberland. You're probably wondering, where in the world is Benedicta, Maine? Well, folks, we're about 77 miles due north of Bangor, Maine, 79 miles from the airport there. The nearest service town would be Sherman, which is about 4.5 miles from the road front here in Benedicta. The bigger service towns would be Holton north of us, about 42 miles, and Lincoln south of us, about 40 miles, and Millinocket is a little less than that, kind of southwesterly from here. So Boston, if you're coming from Massachusetts area, you're landing there and you're flying, or you're coming north to do some deer hunting, you're about 315 miles or 4.5 hours drive. Almost all of it, except for the last 4 or 5 miles, is going to be on I-95. So it's real easy to get here. Well, folks, we're almost back to the road, and on our way back, what do we see? And this is unusual, but I've got 2 porcupines here, and they're in a maple tree, kind of hanging out. Back out here on Benedicta Road, folks, and one of the features of this property, there is a mobile home here. It does come with a property. There's a shed, there's a drilled well, and a full septic system. So we do have improvements here. Electricity is already on the site. Hey folks, thanks for taking the tour of this property here in Benedicta and T2R6 with me today. Let's wrap up this video with the details on the property. So 221 acres plus or minus. We've got paved road frontage. We've got electricity and phone available right on the site. There's a mobile home, a shed, drilled well, septic, over 1 mile of interior road frontage. We've got mixed wood forest, we've got some elevation change, a private pond, and a small creek running through this property, and not to mention a lot of white-tailed deer on this lot. So if you want to come see it, give me a call at 800-286-6164. And while you're here, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Have a great day.